Absolutely, and like sometimes they say you should never waste a good crisis, and we really shouldn't waste this. Like I love the intercounty setup. I love, I've been involved there this year, just seeing how things are. I can keep my distance from it a little bit in terms of, professionally, because you have to help out, but you go on match day, you're just there to keep an eye. Everyone wants to be involved. It's great. It's fantastic. And it takes over. It consumes. There is no point saying it. And it consumes everybody involved in it as well. And doesn't let them out of it either, if you know what I mean. But I've had the same conversations you've had with players, with whatever. I mean, the first thing it's done at the moment is, or could do, is club players need to be taken away from where they have to be seen to choose. They hate doing that. They hate letting down their club or being seen, and they're not letting down their club. They've been put in that situation. So this has been an absolute breath of fresh air to them. And to waste an opportunity to do that into the future would be cruel. It's something I feel very strong with. You can love the club and love the county. It's possible. They can coexist together, and this is the way to do it. I mean, there's so many good examples of why it should. Now, there's also intricacies. Like, the other side, this is people see it and go, oh, it's a no-brainer, whatever. There are issues. Minor intercounty is an issue. Do you do all intercounty together? You can't have minor intercounty during leaving cert. That's a factor. Do you know what I mean? If you front load. But look, there's a ways around that, and there's no point getting into it. But a few things. Financially, it would actually condense the season. It would take less pressure off for the whole year, and it would also create a club structure at the end of the year, which I think will become a kind of a micro economy in its own right, that sponsors will get involved. Now, one thing I want to be very clear on, and it's something I'm very passionate about, because I do hear the club game will never replace the county game popularity. You'll have your Friday night games, and there's a certain amount of interest, and I hear this narrative of times that, I kind of got stuck in a Twitter debate lately. I think John Fogarty was on it, and Kieran Cunningham, and a couple of, and they're on about this promotion. Participation is promotion was one of John Fogarty's line, and I couldn't agree with him more. If we pull back the intercounty 4 weeks to July, it still will stand on its own 2 feet. It will outdo what comes up against it in that time. You lose August, but I still, like, kids that are coming along aren't going to be going, I'm not watching the GA now, it's in July. They don't know the difference, right? So they say you lose that space. Again, what you're actually gaining is the 36-year-olds, 37-year-olds, 38-year-olds will continue to play. The people that have been dropping off now have a set schedule and know they're playing every 2 weeks from August the 21st through until whatever. They will stay playing. Our biggest issue is that the county scene is disrupting the club scene so much that these people are, so sometimes I'm asking, what is this promotion you speak of? What are we actually losing? And I understand they're saying you're losing that space, but the spin-off is there's nothing to lose, in my opinion. And you know what? The worst thing we could do is trial it and see what would happen. Do 2 years of it and come back then and say, come back to September then, if that's the right option. It's something, you can hear it in me. I think it would be insane if we don't try and do it. And like the difference it's made, and you look at it, the Manions and Ahas Grafona is the classic example. I mean, they won a relegation final replay against Abbeynock-Moy, who were beaten in an intermediate quarter final last week. That could have been a Haskell this year. You know what I mean? Instead, they're playing Senior A hurling next year. And that's because they're two of the best hurlers in Ireland, not two of the best, and they've Sean Blaheen as well. And I talked to Kevin Ward, the guy that's coaching them, and I met him on Sunday, and he just said the reason they got there was because them players were playing with their club. It raised the standard. It takes so much conflict away. It just really has to be looked at.
Yeah, because you were nearly at a stage in a weird way where, from a club, if you're looking just fully from the club point of view, it nearly wasn't in the club's best interests for their players to be picked for the county team or go off for the panel. They were nearly better if they stayed in close. And obviously, there's the promotion of the club, etc. And I suppose you can argue the spins off and sponsorship and more attention, etc. But just from a playing point of view, you're better off to keep everyone together because. And this isn't a dig at. I'm not giving it a dig at managers or players because they were in the situation. It's not their fault. But players were coming back, kind of almost having to do the motions. Their bodies are battered from all the training and the games. They should have been resting, and they just come in and they're expected to lift their game then as well. Like from maybe one training session the week before the game and the build the week up to the game. It just like when people say, "Oh, you can't change it. We need to go back." It's like it's not as if the current model was working or anything like that.
This is the thing, and I just the sponsorship pieces, and that's in fairness, that's what I suppose the lads and I was kind of laughing. I didn't throw it in. The biggest losers in all this, no disrespect, would be the media, in that they would, again, I never want to be on this association that I think that club could replace county. It absolutely cannot in the national consciousness. It doesn't. But sponsorship wise, saying yeah, you lose a little bit more or whatever, but you will need to spend less money as well, if you know what I mean. If you condense the championship, there's less need for a centrally funded model of Croke Park funding county boards, etc. Whatever. Tighten it up. The club scene I said its own microeconomies around Galway. We have a fantastic sponsor brought on this year in the Hurling in Brooks. They've been superb to us. They've committed to us for 3 years, but that's because of the product, and they know that it's one of the most popular club championships in the country. That was pre-COVID, and it's even better since.
You might go back and negotiate that a bit more now, will you?
Yeah, no, but as I said, we're actually doing a promo launch with them tomorrow night. But that will happen. Like, I'll be honest with you. So you say Tyrone club football to me, I'm walking the other way. I've watched 2 or 3 games now in Tyrone based on the Friday night one in TG4, and then the 2 last Saturday evening on whatever. And then you have 2 experts on, Sean Kavanagh on telling you the story about it. Again, there's a limit to that. But I'll tell you one thing, in Tyrone, them clubs, that championship will have no problem getting sponsorship now again. So I think people need to look at the bigger picture. And it's not that a club will become massive nationally, it's that club will become massively locally, even bigger than it is. And that will take care of a lot of funding. And I think that's what we need to get across. And I just really, really hope it happens. And I think that at the moment, I think the chances are that they'll probably give it a rattle.